Hi, I'm Meg.
And I'm David.
Welcome to The Average Vegans, a podcast to help you live an attainable vegan lifestyle. We're not the ripped influencer vegans you hear about in other podcasts. We're just some ordinary people living in the South, eating plants and loving animals. Hello, everyone. In today's episode, we are speaking with Wes Allen, the Executive Director and Treasurer of Tommy's Holiday Fund. It's an organization that saves the lives of companion animals by paying for emergency vet care who would otherwise not receive treatment. Now, we met Wes at the Atlanta Veg Fest. Where we were filling our bellies full of food, and we happened upon this great booth, and we immediately wanted Wes on the podcast because this is the coolest nonprofit I've heard of. Like, it's such a unique concept. So we want to hear more. Tell us about Tommy, and then also about Tommy's Holiday.
Yeah, so Tommy was an amazing dog, and so we kind of came about Tommy in a very odd way. My mom was kind of like me, and Julie, my wife, co-founded Tommy's Holiday Fund with me. She was an animal lover. She took in every stray around the neighborhood, and I guess two of them had puppies together, and I found one of them like a little teddy bear and fell in love with him immediately. But Julie and I just got married, and we were broke. We couldn't afford another pet at the time. We had a cat and just couldn't do it. And but I had fallen in love with him. And fast forward a little bit, one night we were sitting at home, we were watching the Who's Tommy rock opera, and heard a knock on the door, and then our screen door slammed, and then we heard a car speeding away. So walk out the front door, there's this little soft-sided carrier with little paw prints all over it, and we picked it up and brought it inside, opened it up, and there is a little puppy inside, and it's him. So rock opera's playing in the background, and we let him kind of stumble out, and there's parts of the movie where it's see me, hear me, feel me. It's about Tommy, who is this deaf, dumb, and blind kid that plays a mean pinball. Cool. And so this little puppy's kind of not acknowledging us. He's, all this stuff. It's kind of mean, but kind of funny and sweet at the same time. So we're like, he's not acknowledging us, and kind of laughing about it. And we immediately said, okay, his name's Tommy. And over the years, we would sing the songs from the movie to him. And there's a part in the movie where they go to a Tommy's holiday camp. And so when eventually, Tommy had cancer a couple of times throughout his life, but at one point during his life, he got liver stones, and he was only, I think, 2. And again, we're broke. We can't really afford to barely stay where we're at. But, he had to have surgery to have the liver stones removed, and we couldn't afford that surgery. And if we don't get it done now, the only option is to euthanize. And my in-laws, Julie's parents, stepped in, and they said, we'll take care of the surgery, don't worry about it. And so because of them, we got 10 more years, 11 more years with Tommy, and that kind of stuck in the back of our heads. And so he had cancer a couple more times in his life, and fortunately after that, we were, during those points, we were able to afford it and help take care of him. And then in 2015, he developed a tumor on his neck that was just too big. And they said, they don't do anything else. It's too close to his spine. If you do anything, it's going to hurt him more than anything else. So the most compassionate thing we could have done at that point was just say goodbye. And so we did. But at that point, we said, we could we were going to donate some money to his clinic and just say, hey, help the next family. But we said, what if I said it in my head, I was like, if I took this money and just did it over and over and over again, we could keep helping people. So that's what we did. And kind of an offhand laughing about it. I said, what the heck are we going to call it? And thinking back to the Tommy, said Tommy's Holiday Camp, Tommy's Holiday Fund. No one's going to get it. No one's going to understand what the name means. Half the people we talk to think I'm Tommy, which is fine. So that's what we did. And since then now, again, we started it in 2015. The first year was, I don't even remember now. First year was like 8 people. And they're animals, and from there it's just been a steady stream. And we're small, we're 100% volunteer, all grassroots basically, and but now we're up to 108 that we've been able to help since 2015. So it's been in his name, and because of that one incident that what do people do that don't have a line like that? So yes. That's what we did. And we hate that we exist. I hate that anyone needs help, that anyone even has to look for this, but I'm glad that we're here.
Yes, that's amazing. What a story. The fact that he was just thrown into your yard basically is just insane. I had the same thing happen with a dog years and years ago. We heard the tires just the same way, and we saw someone throw something in our yard, and we went outside and there was a puppy, and I'm like, this is just something people just do. Like, it's horrible. But it's amazing. We had a dog for about 13 years that just passed away last year, and there were moments when she had to have major surgery, and we really struggled with paying it. So when I saw your booth and I saw what you do with Tommy's Holiday Fund, it really struck me, because there were moments when I probably could have used your services, and I was just amazed that there's an organization that helps people save their pets. Like, what a beautiful thing to do. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, the more I've been out, and Julie and I, we've been at events and we've talked to people, I think that's the common thread, right? Is that everybody's been there.
Yeah.
Everybody understands it, or at least understands the cost behind it. And I've done some research before, of course, but it's ASPCA said there's 7.6 million animals that go to shelters every year, and 2.7 million are euthanized, and like 1 million people rehome animals. And the main reason they give is because they couldn't afford it. So, of all the reasons that are given, it's because they couldn't afford veterinary care. And, so it's not only for me that, when we talk about THF and what we do is we exist as a group to prevent unnecessary euthanasia when an animal has a life-threatening but treatable condition. Aside from wanting to be a group that helps animals, helps families, helps the community, we don't get into it much, but we are a front line for the shelters.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And we get excluded a lot from grants and things like that because we're not a shelter, because we're not a spay and neuter organization, but we're a front line for those.
Right.
But at our roots, talking about veganism and things like that, we built everything around veganism. And if you go to our website, it's the first thing you get to, besides the get help and then donate, the first thing is get help. The second one would be donate. But if you go and look to, how can I help? It's, how to help animals. And the first thing there is go vegan. Just go vegan.
Don't eat them.
You're going to help more animals by doing that than anything else. So,
right.
I love that you include that. That's amazing that you add that in there, because I think that's something that perhaps people wouldn't push as much as donate and volunteer and stuff like that. So I love that you include that. I'd love to hear some stories about some of the animals you've helped save. You know, I want those heartwarming stories.
So yeah, it's there's a lot in there. Like I said, we're up to 108 now, and I went through just to look at the social media. I'm not the best at it because it's just it's me and Julie, Lee and Jessica, and Julie and I run the day to day, and I don't stay on top of social media. So a lot of what we do just doesn't get on the social media, and the bigger ones that we do. It,
Right.
the smaller ones that, because it's a lot of times it'll be, well, my cat has um, asthma and had an asthma attack, and it's okay, you need to go get there now, we'll take care of it and be done.
Right.
Those don't get there. And a lot of times it's because some of the people we deal with are the ones that we're helping are literally barely able to get on a computer. They're only on a phone. I'm talking to them. So it's just get there, let's get it done. So one of the say the biggest ones we had was let's see, was it Nala? Nala had was a cat, and she got hold of this one actually made it through Vegan Atlanta. Vegan Atlanta came through. We had 24 hours to get it done. Nala got hold of a knitting needle and swallowed the knitting needle. And I don't know how. And but it was moving through her intestines.
Right.
So we needed to get it out. We needed to get it out quick. And we were told by the clinics that the longer we wait, the more danger Nala's in.
Right.
We had the x-ray. We could see the knitting needle. So we got the pictures up. We got them up on social media right then and there. And then I said, I don't post in Vegan Atlanta very often because it's such a busy place and everything else. But I mentioned it to Jen Foley, and I just said, look, I'm going to post in here. And Jen pushed it through. And so we posted it up, and I said, look, this is going to be, I think it was like $2,500, but we've got to raise it in less than 24 hours to get this surgery done. And if we can do it fast enough, it can be done laparoscopically, so we don't need to do a majorly invasive surgery. And
right.
Vegan Atlanta came through, I think it was less than 13 hours.
Wow.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was crazy. We had and Nala's doing great. As last time I checked. Great. Yeah, I try to follow up with everybody like a week out and then a couple of months out and just check back with everybody. Right. And then we had one of our first cases was like $5,000, and that was, what was his name? Ace. This was in 2016. It was Ace, and he had parvo, and it was a horrible, horrible, horrible case of parvo.
Wow.
Had to be quarantined at the clinic and stayed there for about a month. But that one was more, we had constant donations coming in, and we don't get a lot, but we had constant coming in. And the clinic, Powder Springs Animal Clinic, which was Tommy's vet, they really came through for us. I think they dropped the bill. The estimate was like $4,500 for that. They didn't charge anything for his stay.
Oh.
They knocked off a ton on it. So it ended up costing less than $2,000.
Wow.
So because they knew that we were stepping in to help, they knew the story for the family. They just,
right.
And normally I don't talk about what our costs are versus, So, but when we post the stories, we say, this is what it will cost, period.
Right.
This is what we are going to pay for it. So everybody, it's all up and up, but if we're told, if the family is told 5,000 and we go in and we say, hey, look, we're stepping in to pay for it, and they tell us you're going to save 20%, then it's 5,000 minus 20, and then we tell everybody this is what we are going to have to pay.
Right.
So, but those are some of the amazing ones. Is that we've had people come back. We've had right now we've got Nikki in for a growth on her mammary gland, and she's in for surgery Wednesday of next week. Nikki's parents came to us 2 years ago for pyometria.
Oh, wow.
Which is horribly dangerous, but and they did well. They were doing okay. She had been going to our partner clinic. We've seen the files. They had mentioned to us, hey, Nikki's in for an exam. She's in for checkups. They're taking care of her.
Right.
They've been doing great, but emergencies happen, and emergencies are much more expensive than normal day-to-day care. So,
Wow. Oh, wow. What an emotional position to be in, like you just get so attached.
It's really interesting and stressful sometimes and draining, because I don't turn anyone away without something. We could have nothing in the accounts, and if someone reaches out, I try to talk them through it. Here are some other options. Call here, call here, call here.
Sure.
Anything I can give them to help them out, and then follow up with them. I'll even call the clinics and say, we have nothing right now. Can you still do this with them, or put them on a payment plan? Anything I can try to do to help with these families. Again, my primary goal is to prevent euthanasia and suffering.
Right.
And whether it be for the primary one, for the animals, two, for the families, and then whatever we can do after that. And then, so, I don't let it go until I've run out of options. So.
Right. You're like an information resource and a liaison at the same time.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah, all the things.
Yeah, if you look at Watson, who is the cat that we're still helping right now, but we got bad news for Watson, but I set up the appointments. We raised funds. We had funds, but we when we post, we still say, we need your help, because we have money, but we still have, like any nonprofit, right? We had money from donors and a couple of grants that we got, but you still have to post to raise money to do the next.
Right. You can't do the coffers, right?
But I called them every day. I talked with them every day. I followed up with them for medicine for Watson, and then we tried to get in for the appointments, and I tried to talk to them about it, because they were getting bad news.
Right.
It's not good, but much as it weighs on them, it weighs on me. But I try to give them as much support as I can give them. So.
I know I had a cat, Google, as a nerd that I am, that he had
my favorite name ever.
He had a lot of issues, and I got talking about the stress that goes into it. Like he ended up needing like 7 blood transfusions. He was in the emergency vet care for 3 weeks. He got bone marrow testing. He got cancer testing for bone marrow, liver, kidneys, everything. They never found the problem. But through some medication and the other things, I got another like 3-4 years with him. But I have setting those appointments, going in every day to check on him and visit with him. All that stress was just doing that by myself was terrible. But then I also like maxed out like 1.5 credit cards, paying for all of it. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's so much. Yeah, I hate that you had to go through that. It's so much, and and I rely so much. Julie does all of our art. All of our, anything that you see, that the art stuff, even the digital graphics for the website, the digital stuff for the social media, all of that. But she's also my sounding board for everything that I do. And,
right.
but she's also catching it when I'm sitting there, after all of, a day of talking with Watson's family. And we had another one that I didn't even post about because it's just, it happened, and it was just so sad because it was immediately just rush, get them there, then get bad news. And then like, I can't post Watson.
Right.
And then this one too, right back to back. It's just too much for people. And it's like, but I'm sitting there just kind of mopey.
Right.
Like, hey, look, I'm sorry that I'm sad and being mopey.
Right. Oh, where do you see Tommy's Holiday Fund going in the future?
There's a lot that I would like to do with it. I think we do a lot of good with what we're doing now, but I think we could do a lot more. And again, it just sounds so weird because there's other nonprofits out there that have like, they focus on spay and neuter, so they can just focus on partnering with a clinic, and then they just work with this clinic. And we have partner clinics. We partner with what is now Thrive, and they have 10 locations. We're partnered with VCA, and they have 22 locations. And then we have probably 5 or 6 small clinics like Powder Springs, Copper Basin, Town and Country, and a few others. But, for me, what I'd like to do is, one, we have to continue to grow our donor base and our grantships and things like that to continue to
right
grow. And a lot of that relies on me being able to, because I work, my main job, I work 10 to 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week, and I have to travel for it. And so similar to you, I'm a VP of sales and marketing at a corporate job. So that takes up a lot of time. And so a lot of what I do, fortunately, I work for a good company that knows what I do for the nonprofit. So if I'm, as long as I'm not in the middle of a meeting, I can just say, hey, look, I've got to do this for my nonprofit. But growing that takes time. But then I want to do, Julie and I have talked about doing educational stuff for, the social media. One, to talk to people and let people know why things like spay and neuter are so important. People hear that, they know it, I think, in the back of their heads. But preventing, the number one thing that we've done, if I look at 108 families that we've been able to help and animals we've been able to help, I think pyometria is one of the number one things we've done. Mm-hmm. Emergency C-sections is one of the bigger things that we've done. And, so spay and neuter, okay, yeah, it's, when we talk about being vegan and animal rights and things like that, yeah, spay and neuter, because we need to stop breeding and keeping the populations growing and things like that. But it creates unnecessary suffering. It creates these things that people end up going to the emergency vet for. These are the things that I think the education needs to exist for. And then heart health and vaccines. Mm-hmm. There are not just why those are so important, but the resources that are out there. But we've got partners that do these things, that's what their focus is. So, so getting that information out on a regular basis, I think, is important. And then I would like to get a partnership for this is a weird one for me that kind of popped into my head one day, is a partnership with a pet insurance provider.
That's a great idea.
Is to offer just an extremely low cost, emergency only plan. Even if it's just for $1,000, or $2,000, it'll cover whatever it is, and $1, $5 a month, something. But right now, every plan you look at, they're, the lowest I think you can get is $15 a month through Lemonade, and it'll only cover like $3,000, but it's $15 a month, and then it only covers 50%, and then there's all these stipulations. So I want to talk to one of these companies and say, look, here's what we do. Do it through us. Do it for this, for low-income families in these underserved communities, and just let it be this. But, that's a big undertaking that I have to figure out how to do.
Yeah.
The longest term goal that I could imagine doing would be, and this would take a big corporate sponsor, I think, would be to do a pay what you can clinic.
Ooh.
Wow.
So,
wow. That's wow. What a wonderful idea.
but I don't know that I have the wherewithal to run something like that. I think that would be somebody else.
That's definitely something that would come with growth for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
What an amazing idea, though. Okay, so how can we, not just the podcast, but the public, how can we help? Because, we're here. That's what this whole episode's about, is how can we help?
So there's two different things. One, people need help. So the main thing is that people need help, need to know about us and know that we're here.
Right.
So make sure that people know about us. I try to make sure that we have our flyers in the clinics that we work with, that our clinics know about us and know how we work, but let people know that we exist. So share about us, share our information on social media, tell people about us. If you know someone that needs our help, let them know that we're here. That's number one. Number two, in the same vein, we can only help people when we've got the funds coming in.
Right.
So please if you are in a place to donate. And again, it's always so weird to me to feel like I'm essentially begging for money, but that's how we do what we do,
Right. Exactly.
Not real quick, not even that. It can be passive. Like, honestly, in the middle of this, I switched over my Amazon Smile over to you. And so a purchase I make on Amazon, you get
Thank
donations
you very
through
much.
that.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's passive.
Amazing.
There's nothing I don't pay extra when I pay for Amazon, but products that are Amazon Smile compatible, it gets donated through there.
Yeah, you're amazing.
Right.
Thank you very much. Yeah, that's awesome.
That is a great way to passively contribute. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
You're so smart, David.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, we are a full 501c3, so we're GuideStar Platinum. It's if anywhere that you're able to turn those, anywhere that offers donation direct type things, if your company offers matching for donations, Kroger, again, Amazon, anything like that'll allow you to help us, and if you find that we're worthy, then we would appreciate it immensely. We have our Julie set up a Etsy store where she has different things like antiques, mid-century modern type things like that when she gets those, she'll post them to the Tommy's Holiday Fund.shop on Etsy. So we can sell those things, and it's directly linked to the THF EIN or FEIN, and anything that's purchased there is considered a direct donation. So we can sell those type of things. So we have a shop on Etsy. We have, of course, our shirts and the stuff that we sell at VegFest. So I listened to the review of VegFest as well. So, that's, which was great that you shouted us out. I really appreciate that. It was nice to hear that.
Of course.
So
my girlfriend's daughter still has her little painting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And I bought a little keychain, I think it's a black cat keychain, and it's still on my keys. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Julie will love to hear that. I need to let her listen to it too. So she, that's, all those things that we do, and Julie makes all that stuff to bring in funds. Right. So, and that's the only way that we can do what we do. But we've gotten grants, East Atlanta Strut, Second Life Atlanta, which is a thrift store that supports all the stuff that
Second Life Atlanta. That is a great thrift store.
Yeah, so every purchase there, they take all that money from their purchases and they put that back out into all the nonprofits that support animals. East Atlanta Strut, They do a festival every year that showcases what it's like to live in it and what makes living in East Atlanta so special. And all the money that they raise, they donate back out into the organizations around. So, and then, so we've gotten a few grants from places like them that are awesome, but, supporting those types of groups too helps us indirectly. So.
Do you ever, and this is the most random question, but do you ever take donations for your Etsy shop? Because you said that Julie gets antiques and puts those on there. Do you ever take, because the reason I ask is because one, I thrift a great deal.
Yeah.
And two, I'm a resin artist. So I have an Etsy shop as well, and it does pretty well. I make resin art, and I would absolutely donate some of my stuff to your Etsy store if you would like.
I have not talked to her about that in a while. I don't know. I'll talk to her and I'll let you know.
Okay.
I know at one point in time we had talked about it and she wasn't, because her mom was an antiquer and she closed her store. So we had all of her stuff, but I'll talk to her.
All right.
And I'll let you know.
All right. Perfect. Okay.
That is amazing, though, and I appreciate you.
No problem. Normally we ask how people can reach you at the end of the episode, but I figure now is probably a good time since we're talking about how people can contact you and donate and, share your organization. So maybe let's just put in your Instagram, your website, all that stuff.
Yeah. So Instagram is Tommy's Holiday Fund. Facebook is Tommy's Holiday Fund. The website is tommy'sholidayfund.org. We tried to keep it pretty simple.
Awesome.
The best place to go, and it is fixed now, is info@tommy'sholidayfund.org, which will forward to my email automatically, which is wes@tommy'sholidayfund.org. So any of those will come to me direct, and I monitor those daily. If it is an emergency and you need assistance right now, 678-964-5692 will call. And what it does is, because again, I work a normal job during the day, that is a Google Voice phone number. You can leave a message and it will immediately text me. And I get that text and I can immediately stop what I'm doing. If it says emergency in the first one, I can just, even if I'm in a meeting, I can walk out and just take the other one. I've got an emergency I got to deal with, and I'll walk out and go take it. So that is how we do it. If you need assistance, and this is not a dire emergency, we have an application. You click on the website, go to the Get Help, follow the steps to get through that. We have a type form page where you fill out all the info. Even if it is an emergency, I still get that form filled out just for our records. We get that filled out. But how we do everything. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, let's talk about being vegan a little bit. So, were you vegan before Tommy or after?
No, we got Tommy in 2002. Yeah, 2002. We went vegan in 2007. So we've been vegan now for 15 years.
Holy crap. Yeah. That's a long time. David's always like the one who's been vegan the longest. And look at you, not anymore, buddy.
All right, I'll go.
So actually, Julie was the one that got us vegan. We had talked about it before, even with Tommy. So Tommy did kind of make us think about it a lot. We would kind of look at it and think about it. But we had gone back and forth with vegetarianism. And but Julie read an article in 2007 on Alternet that was called "You Call Yourself a Progressive, but You Still Eat Meat." And it's still up. I looked at it today. It's still there, but the author's name is no longer there. It just says the author is Alternet. But it's pretty in depth. And it goes through environmental, ethical, and pretty much all of it that you want to talk about, it goes through all of it. And she showed it to me, and it was kind of an overnight thing. We just kind of threw out everything in the fridge and went vegan.
Wow.
Like I said, we had already been kind of on the fence with it, but we just kind of did it. And there was a little bit of lingering back and forth on a couple things, but when I talk to people now, they ask me if it's easy or if it's not, and I tell them, it was easy if you just do it. Just don't think, just do it, just go. And especially now, if you look 15 years ago,
I can't imagine.
There was nothing.
Even 10 years ago when I was starting
there were
out.
still things, there were alternatives and things like that, but compared to now, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even 10 years ago, when I started out, like, you couldn't like get like a veggie burger. You had to make your own, and it was basically tofu, tempeh, and black bean burgers you made at home.
Yeah.
And I can imagine 15 years ago, it's even less than that.
Yeah.
What was the easiest and hardest part about going vegan? Because there's always something that's like a little difficult to deal with, and something that's like super easy that people think might be more difficult.
I'd say the hardest part was getting used to the ingredients, like what was what wasn't what, and things like that. I'd say the easiest part was obviously cutting things out, because once you really get to, especially being an ethical vegan, is you every now and again, I'm one of those people, I'll be open and honest about it. There are times when I'll smell something cooking and I'm like, man, that smells good. And then I'm like, oh crap, no, that's ooh. And
I've done that too.
Is that barbecue?
My nose just what do you call it? Betrayed me.
It's and I'm very, and I think that when I listened to your other one, one of your other podcasts too, that was the getting involved in animal rights activism.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm very much on board with you, David. I think that there is a place for, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of changing a little bit here with what we're talking about, because it applies, I think, I think from the hardest perspective, it's your nose, your mind. You're gonna have, when you go vegan, you're gonna have those moments where you have that. It's hard to leave cheese, right? It's because that's what I hear from people. Oh yeah, I could go vegan, but I can't do away with cheese. Okay, do everything else but cheese. Right. Julie and I talk about that all the time. Fine, do everything else. Stop eating everything else but eat cheese.
Yeah,
no problem.
Right.
Yeah,
the amount of good that alone does is insurmountable. Yeah.
Like
phenomenal.
It's just so funny to me. It's like I'll have conversations, because again, I work in a corporate world. I work in a German company, so I travel to Europe all the time, or did pre-COVID. But and I don't, and so going back to what I was going to lead to here is, the podcast you guys did it's like I'm very much a not in your face form of activism, and I think that it works out actually better for me and for the people I'm around, especially in a corporate world, in a corporate setting.
Yes,
because what I found is I just exist, and it makes people nervous. It makes them feel guilty, and because I'm around, I'll be in a business meeting, and everybody's like, "Well, let's go to lunch." Okay, so we'll be at Longhorn, because that's where the 10 people in the meeting wanted to go. And I'm the one there, and they're like, oh, you didn't order a steak. Oh, you didn't order this. You didn't order that, but you're still here. Because in their head, if you tell them up front, I don't want to be the, how do you find the vegan? Oh, don't worry, they'll tell you. I'm not going to tell you that, but I'm going to exist.
Yeah.
And then the question will come, well, how did you find something to eat? Because it's not hard. It's not.
Yeah.
Right.
Because there's always something.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
very true.
And it is always funny, especially when it comes around for you to order something, your turns up to put in your order, and you just casually order the vegan option, or you're like, can I get that without cheese? Yeah. And just don't make a big deal of it. And everybody's like, okay, wait. And it kind of sparks that conversation without having to like drive home the point. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then to make it even harder for them is that within inevitably it'll come is when somebody says, so you don't eat meat? No. Are you vegetarian? No, I'm vegan. Oh, you're vegan? Yeah. Okay. Why? Ethical. And then here's the kicker. All I'll say, ethical reasons. And I don't say another word.
Ooh, I love it. I love it.
Because they then have to think about it. They have to wonder why. They have to go look up what I meant. It puts it all on them. Now, if they know a little bit about it, then it forces a debate.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I kind of do that when talking about dairy. When someone like brings up, especially if they have a misunderstanding of like where dairy comes from, especially like they think the cows always produce milk. I just ask questions like, "What are cows? Are they mammals?" Yeah. Okay. Well, how do mammals produce milk? And just ask these questions to kind of let them answer their own question to walk them down the path. And when they realize, oh my God, and they kind of just that little light goes off in their eye, it's like, "Oh, hey, you have a good day," and just let it go.
Yeah.
Make a big deal of it. Just kind of let them figure out on their own, and then now they're off doing research and looking at
exactly.
Yeah.
It's like especially like I had a conversation similar to exactly what you're talking about. Somebody at work one time said, "Yeah, but you have to milk them because they'll hurt if they don't." But if you didn't force them to get pregnant to begin with,
or take the baby away so the baby could do the job for you.
Yeah. Right. Oh
I like
gosh.
Julie actually has a good one too. Is that when somebody will bring up this mythical magical island that for some reason you end up on, and the only thing there is a pig. My first reaction is always well, if the pig's already there, what is it eating? Can't I just eat what the pig's eating?
Right.
It survived, so there must be something.
Julie always says, you should just counter them with, imagine if you were stuck in a place where you had unlimited options for things to eat that didn't require you to kill anything.
Yeah.
Would you do it?
It's like, guess what?
I love that so much.
Look around. When people ask me what I eat, usually my favorite thing to say, only because it just sets a reaction of like this deadpan action, is nothing that came from or has a mom.
Yeah.
Always freaks them out.
And they're just like, ooh, because everyone does. Everyone has. So it's like it's that like, oh man, you make that human connection between it. Nothing that comes from or has a mom, and just walk away.
That's kind of like I bought a shirt at, I think it was Veg Fest in like 2019, and it says, "I don't eat anything that poops." And the look on people's faces, they're like, oh. And I'm like, yeah. Just sit there and think about it for a second. Ew.
Yeah. It's just, I think that, I think there's a place, and again, this is something you said in the podcast about it, is there's definitely a place and a need for in-your-face activism. Sure. And I think sometimes it's necessary, and I think that sometimes you have to do it. But I also think that in those moments, we as vegans, as the ethical vegans, as the abolitionists, because I'm an abolitionist as well, and I think that we sometimes have to step back and try to look at it and say, what is our goal? What are we trying to accomplish? And will doing it this way accomplish anything here? So if you just want to cause problems for these people, if you're an anarchist vegan, if you just want to cause problems for the people that are doing this, cool, great, that's fine, do it. Cause problems.
Right, it's your path.
That's great. Exist in that way and cause problems for the production facilities that are doing it. Cool, do it. But if you're trying to change minds, if you're trying to make progress and change minds, you're not going to do it that way.
I agree. We actually just recorded an episode about being vegan in an office, because it is very different than a lot of other situations. We've both been the only vegan in an office, and it does come with its own challenges. And you've kind of talked about that a little bit. So I'm just curious if you have any like tips for new vegans, not just about being vegan, but maybe about being in the office as a vegan, because that, again, like it can be very strange sometimes. There's a lot of food culture in an office. So I think that's, something people encounter, and they may not think about it when they go vegan. Like, how am I going to handle like an office situation? So do you have any tips tips for that?
Never expect people to bring things for you. If there's a company get together, if there's a company meal,
Yeah. Oh.
You should not be, and I'm sorry to say it this way, don't feel entitled to the point that people are supposed to bring food for you. You don't exist in a bubble. And the fact that everybody's bringing food for each other does not mean that someone should make an exclusion and bring something just for you.
Yep.
Right.
They're bringing food for everybody else because everybody else is eating the same things. You're the exception that you made for yourself. And you made that exception for the greater good. Yes, you did. But this is a business term, you're the disruptor.
Right.
So be the disruptor. If you really want to make a change, when it's time to do the potluck, sign up for bringing multiple things. Bring multiple things and take those off the list for the non-vegans to bring. Now there's 3 vegan things at the potluck.
Ooh, I like that. Oh,
yeah.
I didn't thought
We've
about that
had
one. I like
potlucks that work together too. Yeah.
And I did. I brought. Yeah.
That's so interesting.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how we met, was in an office, and that's how he got me to go vegan, was bringing in delicious food. He, just like you, didn't talk about it really, like didn't put it in my face or anything. He would just bring amazing food that smelled so good, and then he would share just a little, a bite or two, and hook, line, and sinker. I just took it all.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Julie says this too, is that, not everybody can eat, and again, I've had people at the office say this to me, is when I say I can't eat that. They say, well, you can. Okay, yeah, I can. I choose not to.
Right.
It's true. I can eat this. I choose not to. So, but like Julie says, not everyone can eat non-vegan food, but the non-vegans can always eat vegan food.
Right.
Very true.
So if you're bringing vegan, let's say potato salad, how are they going to know? They're not going to bite into it and go, this isn't vegan. Okay, right. Yeah, maybe they wanted it with egg in it, but they're not going to have that. But, but they're not going to know.
Right.
The alternatives have gotten so good now for the most part. People aren't going to know. They're just, especially at a potluck, you don't say this is vegan potato salad.
They're not going to know.
They're just going to bite into it. Especially too, is if people, and again, this is me saying it very frankly about things, is I think that we get so hung up sometimes on making, as vegans, we get so hung up on making the vegan food so fancy. Look how pretty and good it looks as a vegan meal. And this goes back to being new vegans, and this took us, take your tried and true recipe that your family has been making this way for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Take that exact recipe and just veganize it.
Yep.
And just make it that way. Because some of the best meals we have now are my mother-in-law's Southern cooking. That she's just the same way she was making, because she's vegan now. Julie got me, her, my mother-in-law, my father-in-law.
Oh, wow.
2 cousins. We're all vegan now. So at Christmas time, it's amazing because, like 3/4 of the kitchen is vegan. It used to be when we first started going vegan. So it was funny. When we first went vegan, this is the vegan corner. Now at Christmas and at Thanksgiving and stuff like that, that's the meat corner.
Oh, I love it. Wow.
So,
that's amazing.
Well done. I'm actually impressed with that.
To do it that way.
That's amazing. I love that so much. Wow.
That's vegan goals right there.
Yeah, right? To have like almost the whole family go for it. Like, that's amazing. I love that so much. Oh, what a great story. Okay, so you've given plenty of good tips for new vegans. So I have one more question, and it sounds kind of cheesy, but I think you'll have an answer for it. How has going vegan changed your life?
I mean, I feel better about myself as a person, right? I mean, I feel like that's the thing that I feel strongest about. Like, if I look back at things and you look at things, aside from me and Julie, you know, you can look at veganism, I can look at veganism and go, I'm certain that that was the right decision.
Right.
I know deep down, you can't convince me that that was the wrong choice. So, yeah, I mean, it's, I look at different things that happen, you know, around the world, and, you know, it's kind of like we'll look at, you know, different things that are happening, and we're like, well, we know that, you know, we're contributing, even if it's by proxy.
Right.
So, you know, it's just kind of a weird thing that you do every day now to contribute somehow to making things better without even trying really anymore. You don't do anything. You just kind of are here.
Right. It's a very direct, you know, interaction with the world around you.
Yeah.
I don't think I acknowledge that enough, perhaps. Like, I think you're right. You get kind of, I've been vegan for almost 7 years now, 6 years, something like that. And I don't think I acknowledge the fact that it is a great contribute to the world. It's, you know, making changes, and this podcast in and of itself. Like, I don't think I give that enough credit. So your answer is lovely, because it kind of opens my eyes to give myself some credit.
I think people should. I think that, you know, if you're vegan and you're doing it, especially if you're, you know, if you're doing that for whatever reason, really, you know, what, it doesn't matter the reason. Just if you're doing it and you're adhering to it, and you can take as many plastic straws off the table if you want to, but you're saving more water every day than you're ever going to do you're saving more animals every day by this.
Right.
You know, and I'm okay with that too. I mean, I think you should do that. You should still try to do these other things, but stop for a minute and look at what you're doing.
Right.
And you're not even trying. You're just there.
Yeah.
Just, you know.
Wow.
And that goes down to, you know, people talk to me and they're like, well, so what does that mean? Do you wear leather shoes? No, I don't wear anything from animals.
Right.
I don't wear any, you know, they're like, well, what about this honey? I don't eat honey. And that's debatable for a lot of people, but for me, it's like, well, then you're not.
Right.
You know, but then you get into the ethical debates about, well, what about medicines? Okay. And medicine's a whole different, it's if you go to the root of it, it's to eliminate suffering as much as possible.
There you go. Right. Exactly.
Now I'm suffering if I don't. So now where do we go?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yes. Yes. Wow.
Yeah, I believe that one of the original definitions for veganism was to avoid animal death and suffering where applicable. So when medications fall on that, if you need to take medication to save your own to live, but that medication was tested or used on animals, that is not applicable within your life. So that falls outside of that purview.
Yeah,
absolutely. Wow. Okay. I am very excited because I can't wait to share this episode, but also to share it on social. Like, immediately I'm going on my Facebook to share your Facebook page, just so people know about you. Because when we do interviews with, like, you know, nonprofits or other people, they have never said just to share information about our company. Like, they're always, you know, like donations or purchase from us or things like that. But the first thing you said was just share Tommy's Holiday Fun with your friends and family. Like, that is such a simple thing that anyone can do, including every one of our listeners. Everyone who's listening right now, go share, please.
Yeah.
You know exactly where to find it. There's no excuses. I'm going to check. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I appreciate that. But I mean, that's reality, right? I mean, if no one knows about us
Right.
one way or the other, if people don't know that they can get help, they can't get help. And if people don't know that we exist, they're not going to donate. And
Right.
that's all that matters is people have to know that we're here.
Exactly. And that is going to be one of the first things that we do. So hopefully this episode leads to a lot of sharing, a lot of donating, a lot of talking and contributing and being a part of this conversation, because this is an organization that I think, like you said, it sucks that you have to exist, but it's amazing that you do. Like, you know, like it is so sad that people have to struggle to save their pets, but it's amazing that there's an organization they can go to. And again, not a lot of people know about you, and they need to. So that is the major thing we're going to do. I'm going to change my Amazon as well.
Thank you so much.
David inspired me.
You're amazing.
I hadn't even thought about that. That's so clever. So hopefully we can give you some love coming your way. And I appreciate that you took the time to talk to us and also to give some vegan tips, because a lot of people are going vegan at the beginning of the year, so that might help them some as they go through that process. So is there anything else you want to chat about?
You know, I think we covered pretty much all of I wanted to make sure that I talked about our partner clinics and our friends like East Atlanta Strut, and Dogtoberfest is another group that does a festival every year, and they help us out too. One other group that I'll mention that we work with quite a lot that also does similar things to us, and I want to make sure that I mention them, is Pet Buddies Atlanta, and it's run by Heather Kohler. And they're similar to THF in that they focus on families that have hit hard times. So and I know it's weird that one nonprofit is mentioning another nonprofit, but they have helped us out with directly. Not only have they come through when we were trying to help an animal that was struggling and their family, with directly just saying, hey, here's the $300 that you needed to finish up that clinic visit. But, you know, Heather will come in and just say, hey, this group is opening up a grant. You need to go apply right now.
That's great.
So they're amazing. But what they do is again, they focus on families that are struggling and have hit hard times, and they want to make sure that they're not making that decision to give up their animals and prevent euthanasia and things like that. But they do provide food, supplies, and spay and neuter. So that's their focus, is food supply and spay and neuter. So, but Pet Buddies Atlanta is their name. So we work with them as well. So they help us out. But I wanted to make sure people are aware that they exist too. So.
And all of these links will be in the show notes for this episode. Every single thing we've talked about will be linked, even the Etsy stores, so you guys can go purchase, donate, share, all that stuff. So this has been wonderful. We really appreciate you talking to us and sharing your story, sharing your organization with us. We're glad we stumbled upon you at VegFest, because hopefully we can bring some good to this organization. So
yeah, thank you so much.
It's been wonderful. We appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been great talking with you guys too. So I really appreciate you being so willing to talk with us. So it's been great.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. And well, that's it for today.
All right. Well, until next time. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.